நாண்டாங்கொப்பண்டா நல்ல முத்து தேவண்டா மல்லு கட்ட பந்தவன பல்லு கட்ட வெப்பண்டா பாட்டா நாண்டாங்கொப்பண்டா நல்ல முத்து தேவண்டா மல்லு கட்ட வந்தவன பல்லு கட்ட.
So, by show of hands, who here has read Douglas Adams? So, in his book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Douglas Adams has this passage: stress and nervous tension are now serious social problems in all parts of the galaxy. And it is in order that this situation should not in any way be exacerbated, I never get this word right, but you know what I'm talking about, that the following facts will be now revealed in advance. The deadly missile attack, shortly to be launched by an ancient automatic defense system, will result merely in the breakage of 3 cups and a mice cage, the bruising of someone's upper arm, and the untimely creation and sudden demise of a ball of petunias and an innocent sperm whale. So that's Douglas Adams. In the same spirit of not increasing the already high stress levels of Mumbai, I am revealing the following facts in advance. No parents were harmed in the making of this story. So let's start.
Okay, so let me just get that a little closer for you.
Okay.
Just move here, sorry. I don't want to miss a word.
So my mom is a peculiar person. And I'm looking at the reactions. I'm getting 4 reactions actually. So the younger guys are saying, oh, I didn't know I could say that in public. You can, grow up. My sister and brother-in-law are here, they're saying, yeah, that is right. So that's the second reaction. My mom is also here, she's saying, oh shit, what comes next? And the dominant reaction in the room is like the slightly older people, they are saying, yeah, my mom is a peculiar person too, right? I mean, everyone thinks their mom is peculiar. What's the big deal about it? In fact, my mom used to think that her mother was peculiar. That is true, like it's almost an infinite loop where everyone thinks that the mom is peculiar. But my mom is peculiar in a peculiar way. So I'm going to explain that. She's 70 and has been retired for many years. But a lot of times she has the enthusiasm of a teenager. Practices yoga 1 hour in the morning, goes for a walk 1 hour in the evening. Around 5 years ago, or slightly more, she started to learn painting. And she would paint 10 canvases a year. Around the same time, she enrolled herself in German classes at the Max Muller Bhavan and cleared 5 levels of the course. Usually being, one on the top 3 ranks. So in a class of 20 or 25-year-old kids, she would be in the top 3. So you listen to this and you get the impression of a confident super granny, right? Generally true, but often not. Often she'll believe that she's one of the most incompetent village yokel you have met. And she would confront my 2 sisters, me, and my 2 brother-in-laws, or brother-in-laws, right? Yeah. With her helplessness. And this usually happens in a new place or a new situation. Once the situation is made familiar, she'll don her super granny cat mask. Right, she's ready. And let me give you an example. A few years ago, she moved to Mumbai to stay with my sisters and me. Got herself a debit card, but she would not use it herself. She would give the debit card to either her daughters or son-in-laws or me and ask us to withdraw cash from an ATM, claiming the ATM machine is too complicated. And we would tell her, you're a PhD in physics and that is more than adequate training for operating ATMs. We would get a hurt look back and statements like, you do not understand how the world is tough for old people. After taking a few trips with her to different machines, I decided one day to be tough and said she needed to withdraw the money herself. Of course, she threw a tantrum. I was firm, even though it is not easy to see your parent cry and scream. But firmness worked. Today, she even handles her own investments and tax filing. A lot of progress, you can see that. In fact, I think this is a good time to make a segue into the whole concept of childrenting. Have you heard Gayatri does some consulting on parenting? And you hear so much about parenting. You go to a bookstore, there are tomes on parenting. But there's nothing on childrenting. This is a word I have coined. It's the art and science of being in charge of your parents. Retired parents are willful. They are set in their own ways, don't take care of their health, and in general are not easy to be in charge of. I think, and this is to Gayatri, take this as a field and come out with recommendations and websites for this. Until this book comes out, I'm going to give you 3 tips on childrenting. Okay? And you guys must be thinking, wow, 5 stories promised kiya. Now we got badges free, we got food, we got gifts under our chair, and now 3 tips on childrenting also, all free. So tip number 1, treat your parents with respect but with firmness. Cajole them to take up new activities. They will initially grumble how they are too old for these activities. But if you are firm and supportive, soon they will be so much into the activities that they will be telling you how you would benefit from the same activities. And third and most important, never give in to a parent's tantrum. Like, this is very important. Of course, all parents are different and you need to use your own judgment while using these steps. So let's get to the story. It was the last week of May and my mother had her German exams on the weekend. She had been studying hard for the test. She's a responsible parent that way. None of our kids have had to force her to study. She does get nervous and irritable, and that is easily handleable. I usually take care to be out of the house when her exams or anything like that is nearby. So Monday before the test weekend, a friend of mine called from Bangalore and he suggested a road trip. Normally this wouldn't have been an issue because my elder sister, who lives near Breach Candy Hospital, my mother would have shifted to her place, but she had gone to Singapore on a vacation. My younger sister also lived in Mumbai at that time, but she lived near Borivali, and that's not convenient to go to Max Muller Bhavan, which is in South Mumbai. So my mother assured me that she would be perfectly fine staying alone, as long as my driver drove her on the Saturday to Max Muller Bhavan from Thane, my home in Thane. She would spend Saturday evening at my sister's place. She had the keys, and then return to Thane on Sunday. So I went for the road trip. And I think that's okay. That's all. So I went for the road trip, and my friend and I were on the way back to Bangalore on Saturday. We were in the nice traffic jam, which is actually worse than Mumbai. When I got a call from my mom's mobile phone, I was driving, and as my friend knows my mother, he picked up the call. Soon he was laughing kind of uncertainly and introducing himself again and again. So that kind of felt strange to me, so I took the phone. So the first thing my mom says to me is, "Beta, main kahan jaun? Where do I go next?" I was slightly surprised, but then I thought maybe the stress of exam had put her in the helpless mode. So I said, "What do you mean? Were you planning to go back to Thane or to Breach Candy?" So all of us call my sister's place Breach Candy because of its proximity to the hospital. She says, "I don't know. I'm confused." So I knew something was wrong. She had been going to the German classes for a couple of years now, and that's the time that she would have been in a super granny mode. So I asked her, "Did you come with Muthu today?" Muthu was my driver. She says, "I don't remember." So I asked my mom to hand over the phone to any of her classmates who were near her, and a young nervous voice came on the phone. So I asked, "Do you know what the problem is?" I asked the young nervous voice. She was moving around aimlessly after the Viva, and when we asked her how her exams had gone, she said she didn't know. She then asked her where she should go next, and we got scared and took her phone and called the first number that shared her surname. The young nervous voice paused and said in a really hushed voice after that, "Does she have Alzheimer's?" So fortunately, my brain did not stop working, and I must tell you, it slowed down quite a bit, but it didn't stop. And I kind of realized that my driver was likely to be in the vicinity. So I called him on his cell and told him to pick up my mom from the Max Muller Institute and take her to the Breach Candy Hospital. And then I got on the phone. I made many calls. The first one was to my younger sister, who shouted at me for leaving my mom alone in the middle of an exam, but then immediately got in the car with her husband to make the drive to Breach Candy Hospital. But we realized that even on a Saturday, she would reach much later than my mom. So we kind of drew a list of our friends who could go there and be there when my mom went in. I called our family doctor who consults at Breach Candy. He was traveling. There were calls, SMSs to a lot of people. He promised that he would tell the hospital that a confused, unattended patient was going to, probably maybe with a stroke, would be walking in shortly. My sister had meanwhile talked to a family friend, Shikha, who was also on the way to the hospital. So I was on the net researching stroke symptoms when I realized that I hadn't talked to my mom for more than 20 minutes. I called her expecting her to be in panic. And after all, even a shortage of tomatoes in the house sometimes means 4 or 5 calls, and this was like much bigger inconvenience than missing vegetables. She picked up the phone after the usual 10 or 15 rings it takes her to fish out the phone from her bag. Hello. She was remarkably calm. I said, hello mom, where have you reached? Beta, मुझे कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. I'm confused. I had expected her to be tearful, but she was almost matter of fact. She continued, what's happening to me? I told her that it seemed to be something wrong and that Muthu was driving her to the Breach Candy hospital. Muthu? She asked. Yes, our driver, he's driving the car right now. I continued. He'll take you to the emergency room. So would I need to go inside the emergency room alone? So clearly the logical part of the brain was working, and first time there was a little bit of fear, and I like, okay, that's good. The brain seems to be working at least. I put on my military voice and said, yeah, remember how you had taken Papa to the hospital when he had a heart attack? This is going to be much easier, you can do it. I was trying to kind of gear up. Tina and Sridhar are on the way and they will be arriving soon. Tina? Again the question mark in her voice, and my military voice all dropped. Your daughter, your younger daughter. I tried to keep the panic out of my voice now. Of course I know who Tina is. I have never been happier to hear the irritation in my mother's voice. So I asked, where have you guys reached? Beta, kuch samajh mein nahi aa raha hai. I'm confused, she said again. At this point, Muthu grabbed the phone from her. He sounded much more in panic than my mother. I later learned why. At that point, I just guided him through the gates, told him to shout out to the watchman that they had an emergency. And the watchman at the hospital, they rallied brilliantly. They got him to take the car right in front of the emergency room. My mother took the phone, and I told her to get into the emergency room, find a doctor, and hand over the phone to him. A few minutes later, hello. It was a young male voice, much more confident. Doctor, I asked, you're talking to my mother, who seems to have got very confused and disoriented. I described the symptoms and also tried to convey the findings of my internet research to him. Very wisely, the doctor decided that he would not benefit from those. And he started asking my mother questions. I could hear the conversation on the phone, both sides. What is your name? The doctor asked. Rajani Upadhyay. So far so good, not bad. What seems to be the problem? I don't know, I'm confused. Not bad, mom, I thought. That was remarkably calm. Do you know what is the date today? The doctor asked. She says, I'm a retired person, I don't worry about dates and days. And she started laughing. I'm like, I'm shouting there. There's something wrong with you, what are you trying to do? And this is, why do we do that? All of us do that, we show off to doctors, right? There have been times I have been too ill to do anything but lie down, and then a doctor walks into the room and I would start smiling and even get up, I'm okay, everything. And my mother was doing the same thing, but the stakes were much higher. It was out of my hands, I couldn't do much. My younger sister reached the hospital soon, and then it was a case of dialing her, our family doctor, anyone who could tell me what was happening. A long 2 hours later, we had the answer. Transient global amnesia. That is what the doctors diagnose her with. And let me read out an extract from the website of Mayo Clinic. Transient global amnesia is a sudden temporary episode of memory loss. During an episode of transient global amnesia, your recall of recent event simply vanishes. So you can't remember where you are or how you got there. You may also draw a blank when asked to remember things that happened a day, a month, or even a year ago. Fortunately, transient global amnesia is rare, seemingly harmless, and unlikely to happen again. Episodes are usually short-lived, and afterwards your memory is fine. And this is from the Wikipedia. That's the source of all our knowledge, if we are really honest. One of its bizarre features is perseverance, in which the victim of an attack faithfully and methodically repeats statements or questions complete with profoundly identical intonation and gestures, as if a fragment of a soundtrack is being repeatedly run in an infinite loop. The line between a tragedy and comedy is very thin, right? A fat man slips and falls and we will laugh, but if he starts bleeding, we will not. So mom recovered and she's absolutely fine, no harm done. I told you no parents were harmed in the making of this story. So we can go to some of the funny moments. So my sister, brother-in-law and Shikha were in the hospital. My mother would be talking to my sister or brother-in-law and asking them why she was in the hospital, and then she would suddenly glance at Shikha and say, "Oh, hi Shikha, how are you?" She did this about 20 times. "Oh, hi Shikha, how are you?" Exactly same words, same expressions, same gestures. My elder sister arrived later in the evening and visited her in the emergency room. My mother asked her, "I have two questions. How did I get in the hospital and what has happened to me?" So my sister explained to her in detail about transient global amnesia. My mother listened patiently to her, intently nodding all the while, taking in every detail. And when my sister had finished, she asked, "I have two questions. How did I get in the hospital and what has happened to me?" By the fourth time, my sister had developed a very short version. My driver told me what had happened when he was driving her to the Breach Candy Hospital. My mother asked him, "Muthu, where are you taking me?" "To the Breach Candy Hospital, ma'am." "Why?" "To Breach Candy, madam." "Why?" "My daughter has gone to Singapore." Through the episode, my mother was very clear on this fact, that she had an elder daughter and that she had gone to Singapore. So my driver says, "Your younger daughter is coming there." "I have a younger daughter?" "Yes, and her husband is Tamil." And like, Muthu is Tamil, and he felt that this is a very important detail. He always felt that. "How do you know she is coming there?" "Sir told me." "Your son?" "I have a son." "Of course, Yogesh." "Where is he?" "In Bangalore." "He did not tell me that he is going to Bangalore." Now, if you have siblings, most parents tell us that they love all the siblings equally. But I have felt that I have a special connection with my mom and my dad. I know that my younger sister feels the same. And if you are in India, you will hear all this talk of the sons being more valued than daughters. But either though this is very clear. When it came to the crunch, my mother remembered only her eldest. Like, very clear. My mom made a complete recovery. She has blanked out around 8 to 10 hours of her life, but otherwise is back to normal. Peculiar, but in the grand scheme of things, normal. So if I am allowed to be a little philosophical, the whole episode made me think a little bit of how tenuous our hold on our identity is. Some little circuit in our brain flickers a little bit. The tiniest of neurons fail to fire the same way they have fired billions of times before. And we become unaware of even large parts of our and meaningful parts of our life. The if and when of this flickering is almost fully random. At one moment you are you, and then you are not. And now that we have had all this craft beer and anything, if I can be a little bit new agey also, I could suggest that all of us take this tiniest bit of time to be grateful that all or at least most of is right with the wiring of our own brain and that of our loved ones right now. Because believe me, when the wiring goes even little bit awry, our loved ones become peculiar, even if they were a bit peculiar to start with. Thank you very much.